Hello, lads and lasses. Hey, if you like today's lesson, then please buy a town and change its name to iHeartArt, and then explode a nuclear power plant in that town, triggering the world's worst nuclear disaster. And then hopefully HBO will make a miniseries about it, as this would really help spread the good word about my class. All right, so let me tell you guys about Donatello. Let's see, he wears a purple mask and he fights with a bow staff. And oh wait, no, not that Donatello. I want you to tell you about Donatello the artist. So he was an early Renaissance sculptor. He did statues of the saints and he did statues of horses. So that's what equestrian means. And so let's take a look at some of his artwork. Um, And when we looked at Greek art, I told you guys, or I taught you guys about what relief sculpture is. And a relief sculpture is when you carve into a wall or a flat surface. And a good example of a relief sculpture is like a coin. But what we're looking at is a marble relief sculpture carved into a wall. And what would you call this? What would be the title of this image? And that's right, it would be a Madonna and Child. And this is called the Annunciation. This is when the angel is telling Mary that she's going to have a baby. And I believe this is the slaughter of the innocents. No, this is the slaughter of the innocents and the Last Supper, maybe. Okay, yeah, the Last Supper, the slaughter of the innocents. So he did lots of relief sculptures. And he also did equestrian sculptures. And so here's one that's made out of bronze and it's rather large. And I also want you to notice, excuse me, that uh, the horse with that has the 1 foot up and it's balanced by a ball. And that ball is to support the weight of the horse because that's a lot of weight on there. And if the ball wasn't there, then the statue would most likely tip over. But he did lots of sculptures of horses, and he did sculptures of saints. Right, these are very typical of Donatello. But and his most famous saint that he did a sculpture of was Saint George. So let me tell you guys the story of Saint George and the dragon. So Saint George was a knight. He was a very fierce warrior, but he was very religious as well. And he was riding his horse one day, and he came across an old man. And the old man told him what was going on in the nearby town. The old man said there was a town that was close by that was next to a lake, and every day the a dragon would come out of the lake and attack the town and killing people and destroying homes and structures. And so this was a very sad situation for the town. So they tried giving the dragon all of its food, and the dragon ate the food, but it still attacked the town. And then they tried giving the dragon all of its cattle, and the dragon took the cattle, ate it, and but still attacked the town. And the village tried giving the dragon all of its riches and its money and its gold and its all its jewelry. And the dragon took it and still kept attacking the town. And then the town sent out all its soldiers, and they attacked the dragon, but the dragon was able to defeat them, and it would still attack the town. So finally, the king of the town or the ruler of the town sent out his daughter to as a sacrifice to the dragon and sent her to the lake. And she was waiting there by the lake for the dragon. And when the knight heard this, when Saint George heard this, he went to rescue the maiden who was by the lake, and he fought the dragon, and he slew the dragon. And then so that's him coming back with the maiden that he rescued. Anyways, that's the story of Saint George and the dragon. Well, this is the sculpture of Saint George by Donatello, and a very famous sculpture. And this is the one that I want you guys to remember. All right, another story I'm going to tell you is the story of David and Goliath. So there were two armies. One was called the Philistines, and the other called what's called the Israelites, and they were squaring off to have a big battle. But every day, a a giant of a warrior would come out and taunt the. He was a Philistine, and he would taunt the Israelites, and he challenged anybody to a single combat with him, so that he would fight the best champion from the Israelites, and whoever won that fight would decide which army won or lost. And he gave this challenge for 40 days, and for 40 days, nobody on the Israelite side was brave enough to fight Goliath. Finally, a little boy, like a preteen or a teenager, said that he would fight Goliath. And the king of the Israelites said, "No, no, no, you're too young." And little David, that's the name of the boy, said, "No, I can take him." And so the king tried to give David armor to wear to protect him from Goliath. And David refused to wear the armor. And so what he did was he met Goliath and the only weapon that he had with him was a sling, and for a sling for shooting, throwing rocks. And so this little boy and this mammoth uh, giant squared off, and Goliath teased the Israelites and said, this is your champion, this little boy. There's nobody else that would come and fight with me. And so David threw the stone and he hit Goliath in the head, and that knocked Goliath down. And then David rushed up with a sword and cut off the head of Goliath. And so that's the story of David and Goliath. So here is Donatello's sculpture of David. And what I want you to notice is that this is David. He has the sword in his hand, and he has the rock in the other hand, and he is standing over the head of Goliath. That's Goliath's head down at the bottom by his feet. Now, one of the things that I get from students is that he looks very effeminate. And so let me discuss that for a second. Um, when children are very young, uh, before they hit puberty, little boys and little girls kind of have the same body type. We can usually tell the difference between boys and girls. Like, girls have long hair, boys have short hair. Girls wear dresses, boys don't wear dresses. And, girls have, like they like colors like pink and yellow, and boys like to wear red and blue. And so that's kind of how we tell the difference between boys and girls when they're little. But basically, they have the same body type until they hit puberty. And I think that's what the artist is trying to show here is that um, David, because he's so young, has an androgynous body type. Androgyny means you can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. Also, if you look closely at David's head, he's wearing a hat, and that hat it has roses on it, and the roses are a symbol of the Medici family. And the Medici family was like one of the first families to sponsor arts and artists. And the Medicis were a very rich family, and they were all into politics. There's a lot of politicians, and there's a lot of shenanigans going on with the Medici family. But long story short, they supported the arts, and so the artists would show them homage by putting symbols of the family inside the artworks. All right, and then I found this joke right here. This shows the turtle Donatello in the pose of David, a sculpture from Donatello. All right, and that's all I have to share with you from Donatello.
All right, that's it for today. And until next time, be a little art factory.